Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. The guy told me I was no spring chicken anymore, and that's why my ankle was still hurting. I'm 33, not 133. The passion. The Red Sox handling of Xander Bogaerts is a complete organizational failure. The opinions on all your favorite teams. No, not this year, but it's next year where Bill Belichick ends up on the hot seat. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight, all 90 minutes. No high school basketball tonight. No Norwich hockey tonight. We're here until 7 o'clock, and damn, it feels good to say that. We'll talk NFL playoffs and some NFL news and notes with Matt Verderame, the NFL director at Fansided.com. He'll be with us at 5:45. Celtics and Bruins played matinee games today in both ones. We'll give you some of the skinny on those wins over the Hornets and then the Philadelphia Flyers in the Bees case. Some news on UVM hoops, and got a lot of stuff to get to over the course of the next 90 minutes. So let's waste no time. Let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go. The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Edithsburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com, and you can get in, as always, on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. All right, Super Wildcard Weekend is 83% done, right? 6 games on the Super Wildcard Weekend schedule, 5 of them in the books, 1 to go. That's Dallas and the Bucks coming up tonight. And I got to say, through these 5 games, Super Wildcard Weekend was and has been far better than I expected. I didn't think there was going to be that many close games, and it turns out nearly every game played thus far was close. Of the 5 games, 4 of them were one-possession games. So the NFL did a great job of churning out competitive action all weekend long. Just for accountability's sake, I was 3-2 with my picks over the weekend. I had the 49ers winning, I had the Bills winning, and I had Cincy winning. I thought Minnesota would win. I thought it would be a close and great game. I was right about that, but I thought Minnesota would pull it out. I was wrong. Congrats to all you Giant fans. I thought the Chargers would win, and they should have won, but it just an epic collapse to lose that game against Jacksonville. It's a great win for the Giants over the Vikings again. I thought that was going to be the best game of the weekend. I think it was the best game of the weekend, despite the drama of the first half between Seattle and San Fran, despite the drama of Miami, the drama of the comeback of Jacksonville, the Chargers. I thought the Giants-Vikings was the best game throughout the weekend, right? It was good from start to finish. It wasn't just good for a half. It was good throughout. There was back and forth action. First playoff game for the Giants since 2016. You go on the road, you get a win over a good, not great, but a good Minnesota Vikings team. It's a great win for Brian Daboll, a great culture-setting win for him in year 1. And I was right that it was the best game overall of the NFL weekend. So every Monday, we are used to unpacking the Patriots. Well, the Patriots are not playing, sadly, so we already got the music going. Let's just unpack the NFL playoffs. Super Wildcard Weekend, some takeaways. A report is out there right now that the Los Angeles Chargers are going to keep Brandon Staley as their head coach. I don't know how they can. And look, I am not a big fire everybody guy. I am not a big clean house guy. I'm not really for talking about another man's job and calling for another man's job. But I am shocked to see a report that the Chargers are going to bring him back. It's not official. I've only seen it from one place right now. But regardless, I thought when I woke up today, Brandon Staley was going to be fired. I thought by 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific, I thought Brandon Staley was going to be done. And if he's not done, that just completely shocks me. Again, I don't like advocating for people to get fired. I just assumed he was going to get fired. Brandon Staley's team blew a 27-0 lead in the playoffs, and that came on the heels of unnecessarily playing Mike Williams and getting him so injured that he couldn't play in the playoffs. It came on the heels of all the bad Chargers losses over the last 2 years when it comes to time management, fourth down calls, etc. I mentioned on Friday that Brandon Staley was under huge pressure coming into this weekend, and this weekend Brandon Staley failed. Whenever you have a loss like this, somebody undoubtedly pays. And you can't fire all 53 players from your roster. Usually the coach is the guy who bites the bullet for a failure like this, and I'm shocked that thus far he hasn't, and that he might avoid it entirely. I mean, we talk with the Patriots so often about the rookie quarterback contract window and how you have to capitalize, etc. The Chargers are wasting Justin Herbert's rookie contract window. Justin Herbert is outstanding. He is phenomenal. And now he's going to be in year 4. And we should be talking about you being a Super Bowl contender, not a team looking for its first playoff win. I mean, the Chargers choked on Saturday night. They forced 5 turnovers and lost. They were up 27-0 and lost. They have Justin Herbert and haven't won a playoff game since getting him. Come on. Somebody has to pay for that, and usually that somebody is the head coach. I am shocked that Brandon Staley is not fired yet. Number 2, this situation in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson is already weird. It's already messy, and it could turn very, very ugly. What exactly is going on here? You have Lamar Jackson who is hurt. But we're wondering, is he so hurt that he can't play, or is he hurt enough that he's just trying to protect his future earnings? That's the situation potentially at play here. Could Lamar Jackson really have given it a go yesterday? And did he just choose not to because he doesn't want to impact his upcoming contract? John Harbaugh doesn't have any answers. He didn't have any answers last week. Upper management appears frustrated by his inability or unwillingness to play. You have J.K. Dobbins saying after the game yesterday that if Lamar plays that game, we win. You have Sammy Watkins coming out last week and saying that that he wishes Lamar would give it a go. You had Michael Vick say on television yesterday nationally that Jackson should go out and play. This is a weird situation. You have Lamar Jackson taking shots at the Ravens today on Instagram, basically saying that he's not valued enough. I mean, what exactly is going on here? Lamar Jackson's trying to secure probably $200+ million guaranteed from the Ravens. And that bridge right now is being burned. And maybe it's being burned on both sides. Do the Ravens not like how Jackson's handled this? Do they think he should play? Do they think he's healthy enough to play? Does Jackson not trust the organization because he doesn't think they don't have his best interests at heart? I mean, I don't know which way this is going to go now. Lamar Jackson, I do not believe, is just going to hit the open market, but he very realistically at this point could be tagged and traded. I mean, I got Dan Orlovsky on ESPN today saying he'd be a great fit in Atlanta. Tennessee might need a quarterback. Tampa might need a quarterback. The 49ers could need a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. There's a lot of teams that are going to need quarterbacks this year. Lamar Jackson could potentially be on the move. What exactly is going on here? How hurt is he? Is he healthy enough to give it a go? Is he choosing not to protect his dollars? We're going to talk more about this in the 6 o'clock hour, but this is a very interesting situation. Number 3, unpacking the playoffs here. The Buffalo Bills need to be careful. I think the Bills are the most dangerous team in the NFL, but dangerous does not mean best. The Bills have quick strike ability. They have an ultra-talented quarterback. They've got depth at receiver. They've got depth at tight end. They can run the ball now. Tre'Davious White is back and making plays in the secondary. The Bills have it all, but they need to stop being careless and reckless with the football. Like that game yesterday should not have even been close. The Dolphins are playing with a third-string quarterback on the road in your building. You're up 17-0, barely into the second quarter. The Bills should have won that game like 51-10. That should have been a laugher. But the Bills let Miami hang around. Interceptions, fumble, 3 turnovers committed in all. You cannot do that. All right, I love that the Bills have the ability to score anytime and from anywhere. And some of the throws that Allen's made the last 2 weeks against the Patriots and then against Miami are just ungodly. But you cannot let your guard down. The Bills seem content to do it far too often, right? They let the Patriots hang around in Week 18. The Patriots had a lead in the second half of that game. Allen threw a pick last week. They fumbled deep in their own territory. They fumbled on special teams. That was last week. And this week, they did some of the same stuff against Miami. Now, they have enough talent to get away with it against the pass and against these Skylar Thompson-led Dolphins. But when you play Cincinnati next weekend, you can't get away with that kind of stuff. Cincy will make you pay for your sins. Buffalo is a loaded team. They got to take care of the football, or otherwise they're going to find themselves going home in the divisional round for the second consecutive year. Cincinnati absolutely can beat them, and absolutely can beat them in Buffalo. Absolutely can beat them, and can beat them in Buffalo. Number 4 here on the Brady Farkas Show. 49ers weren't perfect on Saturday, but they did show how special they can be. First half of that game on Saturday, Seattle played really well. In fact, they played almost perfect, right? I don't think they committed a penalty. They didn't turn it over. But in the second half, the 49ers showed that if you give them just an inch, they will absolutely bury you. If you give them just an inch, they will absolutely bury you. Seahawks are driving in the third quarter. They're looking to take the lead again. They commit a penalty. 3rd and 2 becomes 3rd and 7. The Niners pass rush can be unleashed. Boom. They go after the quarterback. They force a turnover. And from that point forward, the game is over. Now, again, the Niners weren't perfect. The Seahawks moved the ball better than I thought they would. They did more offensively. But the 49ers are a juggernaut, and they showed it at various points throughout the game. Deebo Samuel was a menace. He caught passes. He ran out of the backfield. They couldn't tackle him. He is a stud. He's hard to deal with. Christian McCaffrey's first carry was a 66 or 68-yard run. He finished with more than 120 yards from scrimmage. He caught a touchdown out of the backfield. Stud, hard to deal with. They've got George Kittle. They've got a healthy Brandon Ayuk. The defense made plays, right? They picked off Geno Smith. Bosa was a menace. Greenlaw, linebacker. It's a really good team. We didn't see as much from George Kittle on Saturday. He could be the next guy to get unleashed when they play coming up next week. The 49ers are the real deal. And Brock Purdy, if he does a good enough job at just massaging that thing, can continue to take this team far. Purdy's unbeaten as a starter. Shanahan's great at play caller. The Niners were not perfect. The game was closer in the first half than it should have been. But at the end of the day, you end up winning that game by nearly 20 to control it. And the Niners showed why they are a real and legitimate Super Bowl threat. Number 5, my final takeaway here from Wild Card Weekend. I actually feel bad, really bad, for Kirk Cousins. I've spent a lot of time saying that I don't think Kirk Cousins is all that great. I've spent a lot of time saying that Mac Jones' ceiling is Kirk Cousins. You'd probably think I'd be taking a victory lap today over Cousins losing to the Giants, but I'm not. Kirk Cousins played a largely efficient football game yesterday. He threw 2 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over. He threw for 275 yards. If most quarterbacks, if you said, hey, it's the playoffs, you're going to throw for 275, 2 scores, you're not going to throw any picks, you're not going to fumble, we'd probably all take that. But at the end of the game, 4th and 8 with your season on the line, Kirk Cousins throws the ball 3 yards to a well-covered tight end. Doesn't even give his team a chance to get that game-extending first down. It's a decision you cannot make, And it's a decision that I feel bad is now going to cloud his entire performance yesterday and his entire performance over the course of the season. No one will remember the season he had. No one will remember the game he had. They're just going to remember him throwing short of the sticks by 5 yards. And that's going to be a stain on him throughout the entire offseason. That's going to be used against him by people like me all offseason. I feel bad for him about that. Kirk Cousins, I think, is immensely limited. I would not pay Mac Jones $40 million. I would not do it. But he deserves better than what he's going to get. That was a tough decision. That was a bad decision. I don't know what it's like to be an NFL quarterback where you got to get rid of the ball, where someone's barreling down on you, where you're just trying to give your guy a chance. I don't know what that's like, so it's hard for me to just go and crush him for it. I feel bad, though, that he deserves better than he's going to get. That is our unpacking the NFL playoffs, Super Wild Card Weekend style. Buccaneers and Cowboys tonight will finish it out. But to talk more about the NFL playoffs, I want to go out to the phone line now and bring on our guy, Matt Verderame, NFL director at fansided.com. Second consecutive week, by the way. I've started off the week with one of my old college buddies. Last week was Chris Orvadas out in Buffalo from television. This is Matt Verderame again, my old college buddy from Oswego State, the NFL director at fansided.com. V, thank you for being with us. How you doing on this Monday?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well as well. Let's follow up on a few things we were just talking about. I actually feel bad for Kirk Cousins because I think all in all, he played a pretty clean game yesterday, a pretty efficient game. The stats were good. The offensive output was generally good. But all anyone is going to remember is the final decision to throw the ball 5 yards short of the sticks. And yes, that was a bad decision, but I feel bad that everything else he did yesterday is going to be glossed over because of that. I actually have some sympathy there.
I think that's what that game should be remembered for. I mean, I think realistically, like, you're right. He played well for the most part in the game. He did. But when your team's got to have it and you need 8 yards and you throw for 3 yards, like, yeah, it's going to be a defining moment of that game. And he has had a history of he does that. Like, he'll throw the ball short of the sticks in spots. You can't. When you need that gotta have it moment, you got to find a way. And listen, I wouldn't sit here and criticize him if he threw the ball downfield there and it gets knocked away or whatever. That's football. That happens. You got Justin Jefferson. I don't care if he's doubled. Like, throw the ball to the guy. To check it down when your season's on the line is just such a unsatisfying way to end the year. Yeah, he is going to be remembered for that. I think it is fair.
This Lamar Jackson story is already messy, and it could get ugly because you've got Sammy Watkins saying last week that he wished he would have played. You got Jackson taking what seems to be a subtle or subliminal shot at the team on Instagram earlier today. I mean, it's already messy. It seems like could be trending much worse than that.
I think there's a very realistic chance that he's played his last down in Baltimore. I think, look, if you're the Ravens, you can say whatever you want. Lamar can say whatever he wants. But the reality of this is it's going to come down to his contract. And he's now an unrestricted free agent, or he's set to be an unrestricted free agent. He's never going to get to free agency. Okay. They're going to probably negotiate here before the tag window opens in late February. If they don't come to a deal, they're going to tag him for $45.2 million, which would be the highest tag ever placed on a player in NFL history. And that will essentially lock the Ravens into not being able to make any moves because that's all their cap space. So if you're Eric DeCosta, their GM there, you're going to make a decision. Are you willing to just run this thing back status quo, which I think at this point, why? What is the reasoning to do that? You're not winning anything with this team. Or do you sit there and say, look, Lamar, here's our best offer. You can take it, you can leave it, but here's our best offer. And know that if you leave it, that's fine. We're trading you. And the price is 3 first-round picks. That's the price. I think they would find a taker or two, even at that price point. And there's probably a team or two out there who'd give him a fully guaranteed deal, which is what he wants. And I don't blame the Ravens for not being one of them. I think he's a terrific talent. But it's fair to say the last 2 years, he has not been able to finish the season. they have cratered because of that. They have never had a high-octane passing offense. A part of that is his weaponry. Part of that is, I think, his style of play. I don't blame the Ravens for not giving him a fully guaranteed deal. And if some other team will do it and they can get 3 first-round picks for him, I don't blame the Ravens if they move on.
If he is sitting out because he doesn't want to jeopardize future earnings, whose side are you on here? Are you on how could a guy do this to his teammates in the ultimate team sport and be so selfish? Or are you on the Robert Griffin III played hurt and ruined his career, and Isaiah Thomas in the NBA played hurt and ruined his career? And I understand it. Which side are you on this?
I don't know that that's the case. If it's the case, I'm on the team side of it. You are under contract. You are getting paid a lot of money. And I think it depends, too. Like, if the injury is such where he's at a much greater risk of, like, blowing his knee out, then I get it from Lamar's side of it a little more. If you're telling me, well, you could sprain it again, but you couldn't, not that you couldn't tear it because you could always tear it, but, like, you're not at any more of a risk of doing so. Listen, you've heard a lot of players come out, former and current, and say that he should give it a go. Now, I'm not him, and I don't know his exact situation. I will say this. I'm not going to judge him based off the idea that he could play, because if he says he's hurt, he's hurt, and I'm okay with that. I believe him. What I will say, though, he should have been on that sideline in Cincinnati. He should have been there. That's a bad look. And I've already seen people say, well, guys aren't always there. Guys usually are there if they're not out for the season. They're usually there. Unless they're rehabbing elsewhere, whether they're on the field or they're up in a booth, they're usually there. And it's a playoff game. And supposedly he's week to week here. Like, be on the field, man. Be there. That I thought was a little bit of a bad look.
NFL director, fansided.com, Matt Verderame, with us here on the Brady Farkas show on DEV. I love the Bills and their quick strike ability and their ability to score anytime, anywhere. And Allen does some ridiculous things. But as the competition stiffens here into the playoffs, you got to be worried about their ability to, A, put teams away, and B, just hold on to the football, period, aren't you?
I think they're in for a very tough game against the Bengals. That game is misleading. That Miami game is misleading. The Dolphins had a third-string quarterback who, frankly, was not ready for that game. Although, I'll say this. He put some balls on the money that the Dolphins were wide open.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball. I mean, how different is that game if Jalen Waddle catches a few of those passes, if Mike Gesicki catches that ball down the seam? They weren't 50-50 balls. They should have caught those passes. My concern for Buffalo is these guys are wide open. Skylar Thompson, if they could just catch, would have thrown for damn near 300 yards yesterday. And, the Dolphins might have still won the game, if not for a bunch of, having to blow timeouts and delay a game and everything else. The Bills have two problems right now. They've got to figure it. I don't know that they can. One is their pass defense has not been good down the stretch. It just has not been. I mean, Mac Jones lit him up in Week 18. He was throwing the ball over the yard. I just wonder, without Von Miller, without that pressure that he provides, can they hold up in coverage? They're going to be stressed to the max against Cincinnati in that regard. Number two, Allen, and I think he's a top 3 guy in the league, but you got to be able to play a simple game every once in a while. It can't just be we're going to throw 12 deep balls every game, and that's the offense. You've got to be able to sustain drives, and Cincinnati, with Lou Anarumo as their coordinator, is going to make them do that. They are going to make the Bills see a million different looks, and they're going to make them walk them down the field. And he is going to challenge Allen to be patient, to be smart, to recognize the play pre-snap. They're going to really challenge Buffalo in this game. I think this is a game that if the Bills don't play their absolute best, they're losing. If they play their absolute best, they still might lose, but they'll be in it.
A year ago, Daniel Jones's career was on life support. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option in New York, and he was very questionable as to whether he was going to be there. And if he's not there, it's very questionable if he's going to be a starter in this league moving forward.
Right.
The fact that the Giants come in with not a lot of talent there, but get a competent play caller in there, that gives me some optimism for the Patriots next year. Because if Daniel Jones can be fixed by Brian Daboll with not a lot of talent around him, can't Mac Jones be salvaged if the Patriots can get a competent play caller with, not great, but I would say better talent than what the Giants have right now?
That's fair. I mean, I will say, look, what happened, though, that changed Daniel Jones's trajectory was the coach, right? I mean, it was going out and it was getting Mike Kafka, it was getting Brian Daboll. Because you're right, the weapons aren't great, especially on the outside. The Patriots have got to get a real offensive coach in there to help Matt. Like, enough of this nonsense with Belichick, where it's this cloak and dagger, and we're going to bring in Matt Patricia because he's the guy. He's always the guy, and that's who we're going to go with. And don't talk to me about no, man, that's crap. Like, you need to actually bring in a real offensive coach. You need to bring in somebody who knows what they're doing. And if they don't do that, I don't foresee anything changing.
They're going to. They said they're hiring an offensive coordinator. They're starting interviews for an actual offensive coordinator this week. So,
but who's that person? That's the question. Like, does that person have any experience? Is that person a first-time coordinator? Are they a former head coach? Like, who is that person?
Bill O'Brien is the popular opinion. Yeah, and I'm not saying I love that, but he's the popular opinion. Kingsbury's name is getting batted around because he used to be here for a minute and all that. So those are the guys right now that are being talked about.
And that's the question to me. Like that, who's the person? If it's O'Brien, I'm okay with that hire. Okay. I don't love the Kingsbury. What has Cliff Kingsbury ever done as a coach ever? Anywhere? What has he ever done? He was a head coach at Texas Tech and couldn't win games in the Big 12 at Patrick Mahomes, and then went to Arizona and couldn't hack it there. And now he's a great coach. Like I wouldn't mind the O'Brien hire, but they got to get it right. They got to figure it out. I think Mac Jones is more limited than Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones has more physical talent. But I'm not willing to completely give up on the kid yet. But they got to get a real offensive coordinator in there. They've got to put in a scheme that he believes in and then roll with it.
Last question. The Pats right now have the 14th pick in the draft. What would you say is their biggest need? Because I could make a case for them to go out and get a left tackle. I could make a case for them to go get a playmaking DB. I could make a case for them to go get a playmaking wideout. Like, they have a lot of needs. What would you say stands out above the rest in a relatively high draft slot?
You've got to make Mac Jones the best he can be. So I would look at either an offensive lineman or a receiver, whoever is best on the board, and say that's who I'm taking. Because I think Belichick will always keep that defense good and consistent and competitive. And this year they were very good. I think if you're New England, you got to fix that offense, whatever it takes. I mean, I think that's got to be the path forward. Because right now, if you don't fix Mac Jones, everything else is a waste of time.
Matt Verderame, NFL director, fansided.com. I know you're going to be up at the Senior Bowl and the Combine in a couple of months, so I know we'll check in with you again there. Patriots coaching staff is going to be coaching not at the Senior Bowl, the other one there, the other evaluation bowl for upperclassmen. So, see what scuttle you're hearing about that as well. So, V, appreciate it. We will check in again here soon.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Matt Verderame, the NFL director at fansided.com, my old college buddy and just a treasure trove of NFL knowledge. I'm with him. I'm worried about Buffalo. I think Buffalo quite possibly should win the Super Bowl. I don't know that I don't know that I trust them to do what it takes. Now, I think the defense is a little better than he's giving it credit for, but the offense letting teams hang around, that's a problem, right? You can't let Cincinnati hang around. You can't give the Bengals extra possessions. You can't give the Chiefs extra possessions. You can't give Philadelphia in the Super Bowl or San Francisco extra possessions. It's one thing to give extra possessions to the Patriots. It's one thing to give extra possessions to Miami with their third string quarterback. You can't do that against Cincy coming up, Kansas City after that, the Niners or the Eagles in the Super Bowl. You just can't. I think it's very fair to worry about Buffalo. They have immense talent, but right now their focus level is not always there. Interesting stuff from Matt as well on the Lamar Jackson saga. We're going to take your texts on that. If Lamar Jackson didn't play in the playoffs because he's trying to protect his future earnings, if that's true, do you support him or are you on the side of the team? We'll talk about it next after CBS News on the Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Americans are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy today all over the country. Here's CBS's Nicole D'Antonio.
At Chicago's Parkside Academy, volunteers gathered to paint inspirational murals on the walls of the school. In the nation's capital, Vice President Kamala Harris joined students at George Washington University to assemble academic kits for young children. Philadelphia honored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, ringing the Liberty Bell. The city of Houston held its annual parade. In Los Angeles, Denver, and San Antonio, residents filled the streets for marches.
There's more fallout now over the discovery of more classified materials at President Biden's home in Delaware. CBS's Skylar Henry tells us Republicans want answers about access.
The White House tells CBS News that while they keep records of who comes and goes from the White House, there are no such records at the president's personal residence.
New York Republican George Santos is taking heat over some of his campaign donors.
Among those who donated to George Santos is Andrew Intrater. He, along with his partner, donated more than $34,000. Though CBS News has learned Intrater is the CEO of a company which once had ties to a sanctioned Russian oligarch. Cheng Gao, a Chinese immigrant with ties to former President Trump, donated more than $11,000. Rocco Opedisano also donated. He was arrested off his 63-foot boat in Miami in 2019 and later pleaded guilty, found to be smuggling more than a dozen undocumented migrants from the Bahamas to Florida. Matt Piper, CBS News.
California could finally start drying out soon. Here's CBS's Steve Futterman in L.A.
By the end of the week, the rain throughout California will pretty much be all done. There is one more storm, what's called an atmospheric river, set to hit the Golden State. That should begin to drop rain in the next 24 hours. Officials are issuing new warnings about potential flooding and mudslides. The series of storms has already resulted in at least 19 deaths.
A horrific discovery in Michigan where a mother and her two young sons were found frozen to death in a wooded area in Pontiac. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard.
She believes someone was trying to kill her and that everybody was in on it. It was a conspiracy, so including the police.
Family tried to get her help, but she refused. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko is at the World Economic Forum in Davos right now to garner more support for his country in its fight against Russia.
We need to defend our citizens, civilians. Did you see what happens in Dnipro? It's terrorism. It's genocide to kill unguilty people, children, women, all people.
It's a Russian missile strike killed 40 people there this weekend. This is CBS News.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
There's controversy over a new sculpture honoring Martin Luther King Jr.
The massive bronze titled The Embrace that sits in Boston Common was inspired by a photo of Dr. King hugging his wife Coretta after he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. It features two sets of arms hugging in the shape of a heart. Critics call it aesthetically unpleasant. Some say it's phallic. Artist Hank Willis Thomas was commissioned to craft the 25-foot wide, 65,000-pound sculpture after he won a contest in 2017. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Jury selection starts tomorrow for Elon Musk's trial in California. It involves a misleading tweet and Tesla shareholders. Musk wanted to move that trial to Texas, saying he wouldn't get a fair shot based on all the negative media coverage he got when he bought Twitter. But a judge rejected the bid, arguing millions of people who live in San Francisco can't all be biased against Musk. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight. We're up until 7 o'clock, so another 60 minutes with us, and then it is Jazz with George Thomas. I want to follow up more on this Lamar Jackson story. If Lamar Jackson has in fact been sitting out of Ravens games, and if he in fact sat out of yesterday's playoff game because he wants to protect his future earnings and his future contract status, I get it. If he's made that business decision, I'm telling you, I get it. I'm not a Ravens fan. If I were, it would be much harder for me to stomach. But as an impartial observer, I do get it. I don't love it, but I can get to a place where I understand it. And Matt Verderame told us just moments ago that he doesn't get it, that if that's true, he's on the side of the team and he thinks that Lamar should be out there. But as an impartial observer, I can tell you I do not love it. I want guys to chase a championship. I want guys to be motivated by titles. I want guys to do it for their teammates. That said, I do get it. Now, while I do begrudgingly get it, and I bet a lot of impartial players also get it, I do think it would be hard for Lamar Jackson to face all of his teammates because undoubtedly not every one of them will get it. This is a very complicated story with a very simple base question. And I'm asking you, the text line, 802-585-3026. If Lamar Jackson held himself out because he has not gotten paid yet, has not gotten that long-term deal, has not gotten that guaranteed money, if he held out, do you understand it? And are you okay with it? And this is not a black and white argument. This has elicited strong reaction on all sides. Michael Vick yesterday on TV said he should be out there. Robert Griffin III on social media today said Lamar Jackson was making the right decision. This has been very polarizing within the NFL community. Even Lamar Jackson's teammate Sammy Watkins said last week, he's got an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. I hope he hobbles back out there. Put him out there for the pass plays. Don't run him at all, but you never know. Then now you've got Jackson, who seemingly takes a shot at the Ravens on Instagram. He says, when you have something good, you don't play with it. You don't take chances losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it. Because when you take care of something good, the good thing takes care of you too. So Jackson seemingly implies if you had done the right thing a long time ago and paid me what I was worth, then I would have pushed it for you. But because you didn't, I didn't. This is a messy story, and the relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens is going to be undoubtedly one of the biggest stories in the NFL this offseason. If they can figure this out and navigate it together, the Ravens remain a viable playoff contender in the AFC. If Lamar Jackson leaves via trade, most likely, that is a landscape-shifting move in the NFL. The quarterback carousel gets going every year. There will be movement on it this year, and if Lamar Jackson is a part of it, then watch out. The Titans, the Commanders, the Raiders, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Falcons, they all could need quarterbacks. Seattle could need a quarterback. There will be more. If Lamar Jackson is a part of that quarterback carousel, look out. I ask you, 802-585-3026, if Lamar Jackson made that business decision to protect his financial earnings, what is your stance on that? 802-585-3026. Gary says, if Lamar made a business decision, I would question his competitiveness and be a little leery of his desire to win. Here's Gary, why I don't think this is a big deal moving forward. If I were Lamar Jackson's Ravens teammates this year, I'd feel the same way, right? If I were Lamar Jackson's Ravens teammates this year, I bet you some of them are absolutely looking sideways at this saying, how could you do that to us? Lamar Jackson's going to get a big deal in the offseason. And when Lamar Jackson has that big deal and has that guaranteed money, then Lamar Jackson will go out and play, right? He will take chances. When it's guaranteed dollars, he will go out and take the chance. That's basically what he told you in that post. He said, when you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it. Because when you take care of something good, the good thing takes care of you too. So in the future, whichever team pays Lamar Jackson a lot of money, they are going to get him going above and beyond because that money is going to be largely guaranteed. And he will say, you took care of me, I'm now going to take care of you. So this year's Ravens team, I absolutely could get how some of them question his competitiveness, his desire to win. Moving forward, there will be no business decisions to make. He will have a bunch of money. He will have guaranteed money. The only decision will be, okay, what can I do to get out there? Hey, I'm getting this money no matter what, right? Tear the ACL, tear the PCL, tear the LCL, play hobbled, play on one leg, don't run, only throw passes, whatever. There will be no more business decisions to make in the future. William in Vershire. Brady, how can you say you understand it? Like Matt Verderame said a little while ago, Lamar Jackson is under contract. He's making a lot of money. If you're good enough to play, you've got to play in the playoffs. William, man, this is hard. This is not, as I said, this is not a black and white cut and dry answer. I do feel if you can go, you should. I do want my guys. I want players on my favorite team to give it a chance to try to win the Super Bowl. That is what I would want. But I'm saying I get it because I've taken my fan hat off and I'm looking at this impartially. And I have seen too many athletes jeopardize their entire career and all of their earnings for the sake of the team and have it backfire on them. Robert Griffin III played in the playoffs his rookie year without an ACL and without an LCL. And guess what? You almost never heard from him again. Robert Griffin III got Washington into the playoffs his rookie year. They lose to Seattle, and then he's pretty much labeled a bust from that point forward. He can't run. He's not the same. He's always injured. And that's largely it for his career. That's why Robert Griffin III is saying, look, man, I've done it. I've gone out there and tried to help the team. I've gone out there and played with my brothers. I've gone out there and tried to help get to the Super Bowl, and it destroyed my career. As an impartial person, I can tell you that I can sympathize with that. You all remember Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics, right? Isaiah Thomas, his last year in Boston, he gave everything to the team. Everything, right? He played in the playoffs the game after his sister was killed. Went out and played well. Gave it all for the team, for his guys. He had that bad hip, and in the Eastern Conference Finals, he hurts it, and he's ruled out finally in the Eastern Conference Finals. And guess what? Guess what the team did to Isaiah Thomas? They traded him. He gave everything to the team, gave everything to his teammates, tried to win a title. They traded him the following offseason to Cleveland. And he was so damaged goods, you never heard from him again. Right after that Celtics year, we're talking about backing up the Brinks truck for IT, and he gets traded, and he doesn't get any money, and he ends up with Cleveland and with the Lakers and with the Clippers and with Washington and with Detroit or something like that, and now he's out of the league. A guy who could have made $150 million guaranteed is out of the league. I've just seen it, so. I like when my guys have the warrior mindset that Isaiah Thomas had. I like when it means something to them. I do. But if Lamar Jackson made a business decision to protect his future earnings, I can sit here and say, you know what? I don't love it, but I do get it. Isaiah Thomas is a cautionary tale to athletes. Robert Griffin III is a cautionary tale to athletes. I don't have a name in front of me right now, but I'm sure there was some pitcher out there who pitched on 3 days rest in the playoffs and, pitched on multiple games in a row as a reliever and ultimately got hurt or got dead arm or got tired and was never the same. So we all like the idea of loyalty. We like the idea of the guy being loyal to the team and being loyal to the coaches and being loyal to his teammates and being loyal to the fans. We love that idea, but that loyalty doesn't get reciprocated. If Lamar Jackson goes out and blows out his knee, then guess what? The Ravens just move on and say, hey, thanks for trying. You lost all the money, and oh, by the way, you lost your roster spot. That's how this goes if that happens. Lamar Jackson staring down the barrel of $200 million, most of it guaranteed, if not all of it. I mean, Deshaun Watson got $230 million guaranteed. Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson's looking at maybe a record-altering deal here. I get why he doesn't want to lay it out there on the line for a team that didn't take care of him to this point. Lamar Jackson went out all season and played with risk, right? All season long, from week 1, Lamar Jackson took a risk. He jeopardized his earnings for 14 or 15 weeks before he finally said, you know what? Now I'm hurt. Now I'm taking care of me. As a fan, I don't love it. As a person who lives, as a person who understands money, as an impartial observer, as an adult human, I do get it. He took a risk for a long time. Well, while injured, that risk became no longer worth it. No longer worth it. 802-585-3026. Luke in South Burlington. Football is the ultimate team sport. How could Lamar be that selfish? That's why I'm saying this is hard. I think it will be hard for Lamar Jackson to look at this group of teammates. Football is the ultimate brotherhood. Look, guy, former player, Richard Sherman, Robert Griffin, I think they get where Lamar's at. You and me, we can understand where Lamar's at. Even current players and other teams could say, I get it. But it's those Ravens teammates, they're the ones that are going to be hard to look at. Okay, that's what I think. That's why I think it will be hard to look at this year's group of Ravens because they're all playing injured too. And some of them are taking great risk to be able to do it. And football is the ultimate team sport, the ultimate brotherhood. I bet you most people in the league get where Lamar Jackson's coming from. His teammates, though, just might not. Finally, Tristan in Montgomery. We see college players sit out bowl games to protect their earnings. Isn't this the same thing? Yes and no. And I don't mean to hedge it. It just, college guys generally will sit out meaningless bowl games. I've yet to see a guy sit out when they had a chance to win the title. Maybe it's happened, but I don't remember a guy sitting out the college football playoff. Guys sit out the Sun Bowl. Guys sit out the Alamo Bowl. Guys sit out the Cotton Bowl. Guys sit out the Gaylord Hotels Music City Bowl, the San Diego County Credit Union, the Poinsettia Bowl, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Guys sit that stuff out to protect them at their NFL draft stock. That I get. Lamar Jackson sat out a playoff game. That's akin to sitting out in the college football playoff. So I don't think it's quite the same. Right? It's a different set of circumstances here. That's another reason why it's so polarizing. Tex says, what's Lamar being paid this year? Isn't he obligated to fulfill his end of the contract to his team and his teammates after the season is when business gets done? If he's healthy, of course. I mean, look, Lamar Jackson is not healthy, right? There is no doubt that Lamar Jackson is hurt. The question is he so hurt that he can't play, or is he hurt enough that he's saying, I don't want to because I don't want to risk this further? That's the question. This is not a case of Lamar Jackson is fully healthy and is sitting out. This isn't that. This is if he plays, he's going to play at 60, 65%. And does he say, you know what? I don't want to play at 60, 65% because I got a pot of gold coming that I don't want to lose out on. I think you are right to say he's under contract. He's got an obligation. I think Lamar Jackson also, look, he's been with the Ravens now for 5 years. There's probably a resentment there that he didn't get the deal that everybody else got after year 3. He didn't get the deal after year 4. He didn't get the deal in training camp. He didn't get the deal during the season. He went out there for 15 weeks and played at risk of hurting himself. And I think there's probably some natural resentment there from Lamar Jackson. Say, look, man, you had all these chances to take care of me. Right? Mahomes got a deal after year 3, and Allen got a deal after year 3, and Herbert's going to get a deal. All these other quarterbacks are getting taken care of. And Russ got a new deal. And Rodgers got a new deal. All these quarterbacks are getting taken care of. And I'm not. No, man. I put it on the line for you for 4.5 years. And you haven't taken care of me. I'm not going to play at 65% and jeopardize myself. I think it is natural. We don't have to like it. But you can't tell me that you wouldn't feel similar if your employer, right? Because I got news for you. Let's just say this. If WDEV says to me, Brady, after 5 years, you're going to get a massive raise. I'm not telling you what I make now, but let's just say in 5 years, Brady, you're going to go and you're going to make $200,000. But that's the going rate, $200,000. And here we are, it's year 3, and they could start to negotiate that deal. And they don't do it. And year 4, and they don't do it. And then year 4.5, and it's like, where's my deal? What are we doing here? We've had 1.5 years to hammer this out, and nobody's done it. Why? I'd be a little less likely to put in the work too. So again, as a fan, I hate it. As a human being, I do understand it. Right? I was a fan of the Seahawks. Earl Thomas played on the franchise tag, right? He wanted one more big deal from the Seahawks. They wouldn't give it to him. They put him on the franchise tag. 1 year. He played, broke his leg, end of the season. Go to free agency, didn't get the big deal that he wanted. Out of the league. Now, he's out of the league partially because of his own doing, because of some weird behavior. But bottom line is he wanted a deal that was the biggest deal in the NFL, plays on the franchise tag, breaks his leg, and gets something that's a fraction of that. I've just seen it too many times. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I want to get to a note here on UVM men's basketball. Catamounts did not play this weekend. They're still 2-2 in league play. They'll play Maine on Thursday. But while not playing a game this weekend, they did land their first recruit for next year's team already, the 2023-2024 class. This guy's name is Seth Joba. He's out of Buffalo, New York, and he became, again, the Catamounts' first recruit for next season. And look, I don't claim to be an expert on high school recruits, but here's what we know. Seth Joba is 6'9". He's a forward from Buffalo. He averaged 17 points a game and 10 rebounds a game and 4 blocks a game last year for Orchard Park High School. He transferred this year to a prep school, I believe the same league that Vermont Academy is in, and he's reportedly emerged as a scorer and a guy who can also shoot the 3. So he's going to come in a little bit older because he's taken a prep school year. So he's not coming right from high school. He's got a go-between, kind of that gap year. I went and watched the highlights of Seth Joba, and look, again, they're highlights. Everything's going to look good, but kid's a pretty impressive athlete. He's tall, 6'9". He's relatively thin. He's not rail thin. He's got some bulk to him up top, but he's definitely more thin than he is stocky. He's not a back you down post player who's just going to run you over. He is a more wiry athlete at 6'9". He's a lefty. He's got a nice touch from the outside. He's got a good feel for the game in terms of how he moves around the court. Good first step. He can really elevate. He can finish around the rim. Defensively, he blocks a lot of shots. He's powerful. I think this is a good player. I think big guys always take some seasoning. I don't necessarily think he's going to come in here next year and dominate or massively come in and help even as a freshman. But I think this is a good player. He's got size which this team desperately needs, this program desperately needs. He's got athleticism, and that's important. He passes well. He moves well around the court. He can hit shots from the outside. I think this is a good pickup for UVM. Look, the team's getting killed on the glass and they have no inside presence. If he can come in next year and just help with that stuff, I'll be happy. The thing that really stood out to me from those highlights is he just looks like a smooth athlete, right? You see big guys that come in sometimes and they're a little clunky, right? They're growing into their bodies still. They're young kids growing into their bodies. Seth Joba looks like a smooth athlete. Looks kind of like Matt Verderame to me, but at 6'9". Moves without the ball, passes well, elevates, dunks, good footwork around the hoop, hits the three. This is a good player. He had 10 other offers. Now, some of those offers were from schools that are better than UVM. They're not massive offers, but Bucknell and Lipscomb and William and Mary and Siena. Those are a couple of them, and Holy Cross. So teams from leagues that are better than UVM. I was impressed overall. It's not official yet because National Signing Day hasn't happened yet officially, but he's accepted. He put it out on social media. He's 100% committed. I was pleasantly surprised to see the highlights. Couple of texts more on UVM rather than on this kid Seth Joba, but Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Marvin in Waterbury Center. Brady, 2-2 inside league play is really disappointing for UVM. Do you think they can still win the league? Well, yes, Marvin, I do. But it's going to be hard. This UVM team, as we've talked about, is very, very imperfect. I want to make sure we don't lose sight of this. UVM lost the two best players in the league, right? They lost 4 starters, which is big, but they also lost the 2 best players in the league. Most teams don't come back from that easily. Most teams go through growing pains when that happens. So this always kind of profiled to be rocky for UVM. Now, I didn't think it would be this rocky in the league. It's been very rocky thus far within America East play, which surprises me, but it always had potential to look like this at times. I do think UVM can win the league still, but right now there's a lot of holes to fill. They don't rebound. They don't shoot well. They're now playing at less than 100%. TJ Hurley was out and Finn Sullivan was sick the last game. There's a lot to overcome for this team. I mean, I don't even know exactly what to tell you that they should be working on because they got so many holes that just fixing one will not be enough. My gut tells me they need to go to work on the defensive end because if they could fix the defense, then that starts to ease up all their other issues, I think. Right? They gave up 80 against UMass Lowell. They can't be doing that. If they can hold teams in the league to 64, 65, I think they got a chance. Now, I don't know if they can do that consistently, but that's where I would go first. Try to fix the defense, which will then by extension help the offense, get you out in transition, create some more open shots, get you running. I think that's, if there's one thing to fix, I think that's it. Smith in Burlington, or maybe it's Smythe, my apologies. We all need to relax and understand this team is allowed a down year. They've been good for a long time. Yes, they're allowed a down year. But that doesn't mean I have to lessen my expectation. Yes, fans need to get that you're not going to go 16-0 in league play every year. Not every year is going to be domination. Not every year is going to include the America East Player of the Year. Look, UNC is down this year. Duke is down this year. Kentucky's awful this year. So even the Blue Bloods go through down times. But it's still fair for me and you to have high expectations. We should still be expecting this team to play an America East Championship Saturday. Absolutely. That's the standard shouldn't change. After the year is over, I can reconcile it and say, okay, you're allowed a down year. But while we're going through it, my expectations are they figure it out. Finally, Willie over in Essex. Brady, what's most disappointing about this team? Well, that's pretty simple for me. The thing that's most disappointing for me about this team is that this isn't a team full of freshmen struggling. This is a very veteran-laden team. The team should not look this overwhelmed at times, right? You lost 4 starters, and usually when you lose 4 starters, teams replace them, with 4 freshmen or some redshirt freshmen, and you have to ease guys in. This UVM team is a veteran team. Dylan Penn's a 5th-year senior. Finn Sullivan's a 5th-year senior. Aaron Deloney's a 4th-year senior. Matt Barretto is probably the oldest guy on the team. Robin Duncan is a 5th-year senior. Cam Gibson is a 5th-year senior. So we're not talking about a bunch of freshmen. We're talking about a bunch of veterans that are right now look overmatched at times. And that's what's most disappointing to me. That you have veteran pieces, you have veteran leadership, you have guys that have been there and have done that, and right now it's just not working. But UVM will play on Thursday night at home against Maine, and they'll look to get back over 500. Maine is better this year. I don't know, I don't know as much about them, but overall they are better. I believe they had a win over Harvard this year. Now I have to look up and see exactly how they're doing. The women's basketball team at Maine is just an absolute juggernaut year in and year out. Maine right now, as it sits, is 0-4 in conference play, but they are definitely better than they've been. So you look at it, they lost to UMass Lowell just by 2. It's a team that beat UVM by 15. They lost to UNH by 13, while UVM lost to UNH as well. And they lost to UMBC by 8. So it's a game UVM should win, but at this point, I don't put a whole lot of should with Vermont. So it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. When we come back, the New York Giants should provide you as a Patriots fan a lot of optimism. I'll tell you why. That's next here on this Monday edition of the show on WDEV.
Attention Vermonters, the Push It, Pull It, or Tow It sale is back at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Here's Pat to tell you more. We would like to thank all of our customers and our entire team for helping Lamoille Valley Chevy get to our goal of 4,000 delivered in 2022. Being one of the highest volume Chevy dealers in Vermont means we have a ton of new trucks in stock. Our lot is now overstocked with more one-owner, low-mileage, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs, and I have instructed my entire team that we need to sell them down. Through the end of January, anyone can push, pull, or tow any single trade to Lamoille Valley Chevy and get a $2,000 minimum trade allowance toward any new truck or SUV on our lot. And better yet, receive a $3,000 minimum trade allowance towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Many of these Lamoille Valley Chevy pre-owned trucks and SUVs are certified pre-owned that come with a better-than-new 100,000-mile warranty on top of a guaranteed minimum trade allowance of $3,000. So get to the Push It, Pull It, or Tow It sale happening right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
Do you love a bargain? Then the WDEV Trading Post online marketplace is for you. Get great deals on goods and services from local businesses, furniture, gift certificates, recreation discounts. You'll never know what you'll find. All deals are at a reduced price. Save money, and maybe you'll discover something new. The offerings and prices are constantly changing, so check back regularly at tradingpostmarketplace.com.
Support makes families grow stronger.
Confidence leads to better choices.
Education opens new doors. VCTF, the Vermont Children's Trust Foundation, is a nonprofit group that raises money to fund prevention programs. At VCTF, we believe community creates good kids. We fund preschools, teen centers, literacy, parenting, and mentoring programs. Programs that promote the well-being of Vermont children and work hard to strengthen our families, encourage education, and promote healthy behavior choices. Support VCTF and help give all kids a fair chance at success.
You can help. Please donate to line 23D on your Vermont state tax return, where every dollar goes directly to helping Vermont kids. For more information, go to vtchildrenstrust.org. That's vtchildrenstrust.org.
Hi, I'm Bob Lake, CEO of Green Mountain Credit Union. Green Mountain Credit Union was established in 1959 by Vermonters. The emphasis was and still is people helping people. And now Green Mountain Credit Union has grown into a full-service financial institution with personalized banking, mortgages, Visa cards, debt consolidation, and auto and home improvement loans. It's old school lending with 21st century technology. I invite you to stop by one of our locations in South Burlington, Rutland, and Berlin, or find us at greenmountaincu.com. Green Mountain Credit Union, people helping people since 1959.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, with a belief that local businesses like WDEV build strong communities.
Hey, I'm Jay DeMarcus. I'm Gary LeBox. And I'm Joe Don Rooney. And we're Rascal Flats. Music has always been a huge part of our lives. It's something we started pursuing as kids and never gave up on. It took a lot of hard work and dedication, but it's paid off. Music has allowed us to travel around the world and share some very unique experiences. So don't let anyone tell you your dreams aren't possible, because you know what? They are. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online at prodrivercdl.com. The New York Football Giants should serve as a great source of optimism for your New England Patriots. Why? Because the New York Football Giants are a reminder that you are never that far away from contention in the NFL. If you are the Patriots, you should be looking at the New York Giants and their season and their win yesterday in the playoffs and think to yourselves, okay, we can do this, and we can do this right now. For as bad as the Patriots looked at times this year, this is not some multi-year rebuild that's necessary. The Patriots can be fixed, and they can be fixed right now, and the Giants are proof of that. The New York Giants were 4-13 a year ago. In fact, the Jaguars were 3-14 a year ago, and Seattle was 7-10 a year ago, and they all made the playoffs this year. They're all proof that you're not that far away in the NFL. Two of those three teams won games this weekend in Jacksonville and the Giants. So there is no excuse for the Patriots not to fix this right away. But let me just continue back with the Giants parallel. Not only did the Giants go 4-13 a season ago and make the playoffs and thus far win a game, but they had a quarterback that almost nobody believed in. Right? Daniel Jones was worse thought of last year than Mac Jones is thought of right now. Coming into this season, Daniel Jones was 12-25 in his career. He threw 10 touchdowns and 11 starts last year. He had never thrown for more than 230 yards a game in any season. The Giants didn't pick up his fifth-year option going into this year. And despite all of that, the Giants got to the playoffs and thus far have won a playoff game and did it on the road. My message to you is this. If the Giants can have that kind of turnaround, the Patriots can be fixed right away. If Daniel Jones can have that kind of turnaround, then Mac Jones can have that turnaround too. It's that simple. It can be done. Right? It can be done. If Daniel Jones, who's fighting for his NFL career this season, can make the playoffs and win a game on the road, then Mac Jones, a first-round pick, a national championship winning quarterback, he too can be salvaged. What this all comes down to, though, is the Patriots getting a suitable offensive coach. That will continue to be the refrain from me. It will continue to be the refrain from everyone nationally. Find a suitable offensive coach, and you too can turn this thing around. That's how imperative this offensive coordinator hire is for the organization. The Giants don't have world-beating talent, right? They got Darius Slayton, Saquon Barkley, and who else? They got a good coaching staff now. Mike Kafka and Brian Dable. They rescued Daniel Jones from the abyss. They saved Saquon Barkley as well. And they got to the playoffs and won a game without elite offensive talent outside of Barkley. If the Patriots get the offensive coordinator hire right, if they get the quarterback's coach hire right, then they too can figure this out. The Giants got a coaching staff that brings the absolute best out in Daniel Jones. The Patriots need to find a coaching staff that brings the best out in Mac Jones. It is that simple. If I was watching that Giants game yesterday and I'm thinking to myself, Daniel Jones was left for dead. His career was left for dead. If he can look like this with 1 year of Brian Dable, then why can't Mac Jones be fixed with 1 year of competency on the offensive coaching staff? He can be, and the Patriots can be in this spot next year winning a playoff game. That should be the goal. That should be the hope. That should be the expectation. Texter says, bravo, Brady. Thank you very much. It's the truth. I'm looking at Daniel Jones go through a whole season and win 9 games. I'm looking at Daniel Jones carve apart a 13-win team in the playoffs, and I'm thinking to myself, all it took was 1 year of competency. Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, 1 year for Daniel Jones to turn his whole career around, for the Giants to turn their franchise around. If the Patriots get this right offensively, then Mac Jones can have the same kind of success. They need to find somebody who can bring the best out in Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones has limitations, but he is not a total lost cause. He is not somebody that should be written off. He is not somebody that should be written off. And as I say all this, I'm scrolling through Twitter as I talk, and Tommy Kern of NBC Sports Boston has said Bill O'Brien is the desired candidate for the job. Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator at Alabama, is the desired quarterback, or is the desired candidate for the offensive coordinator position. I haven't been real keen on that throughout, but I'm starting to change my mind, right? I have not been a fan of Belichick retreads. We talked about Belichick not trusting people. I've talked about wanting to get a fresh perspective in. That's all true. But I also have to be open to this idea. I have said the Patriots' primary goal should be getting Mac Jones better. The primary goal should be getting Mac Jones help. Well, why not get Mac Jones, the guy who was his coach at Alabama? Mac won a title with O'Brien. Mac and O'Brien know each other in terms of the playbook, in terms of what Mac likes. If Bill O'Brien can bring Alabama Mac out of Mac, then that's something I got to open my mind to. I'm going to have to do more research. I'm going to have to do more interviews. We're going to have to bring people on the show to talk about Bill O'Brien, etc. But I got to at least open my mind to this possibility. So that's breaking news from Tommy Curran of NBC Sports Boston saying that, yes, Bill O'Brien is the desired candidate. Does not mean that he will get it. Doesn't mean there won't be other good candidates, but he is kind of the top choice right now, the leader in the clubhouse. All right. Couple of other coaching stuff for the Patriots here. This comes from Scott Zolak of 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. He says that Gerard Mayo is going to be given the title of assistant head coach. So that's not a total rarity. Dante Scarnecchia was the assistant head coach for 15 years. So that's not impossible, or that's not new for the Patriots to have that. So they want to keep Mayo around. They want to keep him on the defensive staff. Maybe they want to groom him to be the head coach in waiting. They've got him now. Zolak says he will be named the assistant head coach. Zolak says Matt Patricia will move upstairs into an advisory position. Remember, he had that in 2021. So he's not going to be doing the offensive coordinating. He's not going to call the plays. He's not going to be coaching the offensive line, at least primarily. He's going to be at practice. He can help with some things, but largely he's going to be an advisor. He said also that Joe Judge is going to go back to being the special teams coordinator and not be the Patriots quarterback coach. Cam Acord, who was the Pats special teams coach, is going to get demoted to an assistant. So I'm for that. Look, I said at the start of the show, I'm not really for advocating for people to get fired. Acord gets demoted. He gets to stay on staff. That's great. Joe Judge goes back to special teams where he was a very good coach for the Pats. That I can handle that all the way around. Says that tight ends coach Nick Caley probably likely to leave. He's going to interview for the Jets offensive coordinator position. We know that as well. That came out a couple of days ago. But that's the scuttle right now. But the Patriots have to get the offensive coordinator coach right. They have to get that position right. Mac Jones is not a lost cause. Look, you look around the NFL, right? Geno Smith was written off. He gets an opportunity. He gets some belief. He's got a good offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron. Geno's staring down $30 million a year now. It can be done. Daniel Jones, they didn't even pick up his fifth-year option. Now he's staring down, making a whole lot of money. It can be done. Trevor Lawrence looked awful last season. I was at a game where he got beat 50-3 by the Patriots. And now he looks great over the last half of this season. Doug Peterson has brought out the best in him. Find a coach to bring out the best in Mac Jones, and you too can have some similar results. I still don't think Mac is a guy I'd ever pay $45 million a year to. But we got 3 years until that's necessary. Let's make the most of those 3 years, and let's find a way to get the Patriots back to the playoffs and in a position where Mac Jones can succeed. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Celtics and Bruins play Martin Luther King Day matinees. Both win, and a little bit of history made in the Celtics win. I'll tell you what happened in both matchups. That's next here on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
I know about courage. I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
It's 1, 2, 3 to start 2023 at Lamoille Valley Ford. Here's Rick the Kid.
We want to thank all our customers and friends for helping us reach our goal in the countdown to 4,000 vehicles sold last year, continuing our run as Vermont's highest volume Ford dealer. Now, kick off the new year. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3 in January 23 at Lamoille Valley Ford. On any in-stock new Ford Escape, Edge, or Explorer, you can take $1,000 off MSRP. And Lamoille Valley Ford will double that discount to $2,000 on any new F-150 in stock. Plus, during January, Lamoille Valley Ford will discount any pre-owned vehicle on our lot, including our huge selection of certified pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, $3,000. At Lamoille Valley Ford, we have by far the largest inventory of new Fords in Vermont, along with a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles. And we have instructed our entire team to make deals and earn your business.
Woo! You heard Rick. You don't have to settle for an ugly vehicle, and you definitely don't need to pay more than you should. So drive Route 14, 50, or 60 to Hardwick, where it's as simple as 1, 2, 3 to start 2023 at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Winter's here, which means cold temperatures and sometimes icy sidewalks and roadways. These conditions can often make it challenging to stay active. I'm Nadia Fletcher, a nurse practitioner in our cardiology clinic at Copley Hospital. I'm fortunate to work with a dynamic team that includes cardiologists, Dr. Adam Cunin, and our recent addition, Dr. Michael Hayes. Our tip for a healthy heart during the winter months is to get at least 20 minutes every day of moderate intensity aerobic activity such as brisk walking, dancing, snowshoeing, or cross-country skiing. Add in some resistance or weight training twice a week. Physical activity is one of the best ways to keep your body healthy and your brain sharp, as well as improving mood during these cold and dark winter days. Remember to keep your body warm with plenty of layers and avoid going outside on the coldest days. On behalf of the cardiology team at Copley, we extend warm wishes to all for a safe winter season. For more information on cardiology services at Copley, call 802-888-8344 or visit copleyvt.org.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. I have faith in Mac Jones, Belichick, and the Patriot way, says a texter. Yeah, well, right now, you shouldn't have faith in the Patriot way. Right now, you shouldn't. You should be questioning everything the Patriots do. I have faith in Mac Jones to be good when things are good around him. I do not ever have faith in Mac Jones to make $50 million a year, $45 million a year. But I believe that Mac Jones, with the right people and team around him, can be good. So I believe in him with the right situation. Now the Patriots need to give him the right situation. Belichick needs to give him the right offensive coach, the right quarterbacks coach. They need to spend correctly in free agency. They need to draft well. They need to replace multiple team leaders, as it looks like Devin McCourty is going to retire and possibly Matthew Slater as well. So the Patriot way hasn't been all that great the last couple of years. It's missing the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. It's no playoff wins in the last 4 years. Right? 2019, no playoff wins. 2020, no playoff win. 2021, no playoff win. 2022, no playoff win. I mean, so the Patriot way has been bruised here the last couple of years. They got to get back on track and give Mac Jones the resources to be good next year. I think it can happen. You just got to put those pieces in place. All right, the Celtics beat the Hornets today, 130-118. They're now 33-12. The Bruins beat the Flyers 6-0. They're now 34-5-4 and just rolling at this point. I'll start with the Bruins here. You know, I don't have as much on this one, but the Bees win. David Krejci played, I believe, his 1,000th career game. He had 3 points today. David Pasternak had 2 goals. Grzelcyk had a goal. There was a goal from Marchand as well. Jeremy Swayman had 29 saves, pitched a shutout here. And the Bruins were dominant and continue to just be dominant. If they go 500 from here on out, if the Bruins just go 500 from here on out, they're going to finish with 110 points. And that would be one of the 10 best point totals in the 98-year history of the franchise. They're not going to go 500 the rest of the year. They're going to continue to be better than that. They may end up with close to the most points in NHL history. I mean, they are absolutely a Stanley Cup contender, and they very well may be the Stanley Cup favorite at this point. They are rolling. Now, I watched the Celtics game. We got one TV in the studio. I like basketball better than hockey. I chose to watch the Celtics game. I watched every minute of that and checked in on the Bruins when I could. Celtics beat the Hornets by 12. Again, they're 33-12 now through 45 games. It's always kind of hard to get takeaways from regular season NBA games, right? Playoff games are easy, but regular season NBA games are kind of weird to get takeaways from. It was a weird game. Like most Celtics got up big, got up 17. Then, like most games in the NBA, the other team came back. Charlotte got it within 2 in the 4th. And then the Celtics went out and hit a couple of dagger shots and played a little better defense in the last 5 minutes. And then they ended up winning the game by 12. Jason Tatum scored 51. That's all you really need to know. Right, out of this game, this is what you need to know. Jason Tatum scored 51 points. His first 50-point game of the season, his 7th 40-point game of the season. Jason Tatum is now the Celtics' all-time leader in regular season 50-point games. He's only 24 years old, people. He's got 5 50-point games in his career. Larry Bird had 4. If you are passing Larry Bird in Celtics history books, you're doing something right. I mean, Tatum had 51, and not just 51. He was 15 of 23 from the floor. Like, you're shooting 67% for a game. There are guys who can get 51, but they got to go, 12 of 37 to get it. Tatum went 15 of 23. He went 7 of 10 from 3. He went 14 of 14 from the line. He got to the line. He hit from deep. He was efficient everywhere else. I mean, this was a clinic of a game. And I know Charlotte's not very good, but my goodness, 51 points on that kind of shooting. Those are better than MVP type numbers. I also thought the Celtics really passed the ball well. I mean, they were getting wide open shots. And yes, some of it's that Charlotte's not good, but they were getting wide open shots just by virtue of their passing. I mean, Tatum to Derek White, and Derek White to Grant Williams, and Grant Williams passes back out to Tatum. I mean, you name it, they passed it well. Celtics had 34 assists in this game to just 11 turnovers. I mean, that's 3.5 to 1 assist and turnover ratio. That would be the best in the league by a wide margin. Just a clinic. Brogdon passed it well. They did all this without Jaylen Brown again. They scored 130 points, had 34 assists. Tatum gets 51 without Jaylen Brown. You take a top 20 player off most teams in the NBA, they're not doing great. Celtics win this game by double digits on the road. Robert Williams had 9 rebounds. I think he had 8 points. The Celtics are now 4-0 when he starts. So another good win there as they kind of get Robert Williams back into the swing of things. As for Charlotte, they are dreadful. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, right? LaMelo Ball's been out. Terry Rozier's been out at times. And Gordon Hayward's been out, of course. LaMelo played today. I really like watching LaMelo Ball play. He had 25. Good passer, good shooter, long, can rebound, hustles. Rozier only had 14, but I still love Scary Terry. And I like that backcourt a lot when it's healthy. So hopefully better times are ahead for Charlotte. They have some fun things about their team, but just didn't happen today. The Celtics beat the Hornets again. That's it for us. Jazz with George Thomas is next. Go find the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oil.